It was 8:47 on a grey Thursday morning when my phone rang, the kind of ring that slices through your thoughts before your mind catches up. I was halfway through my second cup of coffee, reviewing client proposals, when the name flashed on my screen. Nadine, Velvet Knot Weddings. For a split second, I smiled. Nadine was my sister's wedding planner, the one I'd worked with for 6 months, emailing back and forth about venues, floral palettes, and seating charts. I'd paid the deposits myself, $60,000 wired in installments, because my parents insisted they'd reimburse me once Dad's bonus cleared. It was supposed to be temporary, a family favor. I picked up, cheerful despite my exhaustion. Hey, Nadine. What's up? How's the menu tasting going? There was a pause. Then a sound I'll never forget. The cautious inhale someone takes when they are about to say something that will change your world. Hi, Claire, she said softly. I just wanted to confirm that you're aware your invitation to the wedding has been cancelled. For a moment, the words didn't make sense. Cancelled? My invitation. I'm sorry, what? I received a call from your mother this morning, Nadine continued carefully. She said there were family conflicts. She asked us to remove you from the guest list, as well as the vendor access list. But since you're listed as the financial contact on the contracts, I just wanted to make sure you knew. The room spun. I gripped the edge of the counter, my heartbeat roaring in my ears. So let me get this straight, I said slowly. They cancelled my invitation, but kept the money I paid. Another pause. Then, quietly, yes. The deposits are non-refundable. Everything's already been paid for under your name, so, technically, they're just continuing with what you funded. My fingers went cold. I forced a laugh that sounded like glass cracking. That's unbelievable. I'm really sorry, Claire. I just didn't want you to find out from social media. They are finalizing the new guest list tonight. When the call ended, the silence in my apartment felt deafening. My hand shook as I set the phone down. $60,000. My entire savings. The same parents who taught me to honor family first had erased me from my own sister's wedding like I was an inconvenience. I sat there staring at the half-eaten croissant on my plate until the weight of it all hit me. Every late-night phone call helping my sister pick vendors, every encouraging text, every wire transfer. Every time I'd told myself, it's just money, family matters more. I was wrong. By noon, I'd stopped crying. By 1, I started compiling everything, every invoice, every email, every message that proved what I'd done. Not out of revenge, but clarity, because somewhere along the way, I'd started believing the story they told about me, the too independent, too career-driven daughter who didn't understand family values. But the truth? I had funded those values. I built them. At 3:15, I opened my laptop and created a new folder labeled Wedding Documentation. Inside, I dropped the payment receipts, text threads, even screenshots of Mom saying, "You're our safety net, sweetheart. You always have been." I stayed at that line for a long time. Safety net. Translation. Someone they could fall on, then forget existed. That night, I lay awake replaying every warning sign I'd ignored. Dad brushing off my success with, "Your little business is cute, but don't forget what real stability looks like." Mom joking about how at least Claire will fund the next family gathering. And Emily, my younger sister, the bride-to-be, promising she'd make it up to me one day. That day, apparently, was never coming. At 2 a.m., I opened Instagram. Emily had posted a photo, a close-up of her engagement ring with the caption, "Sometimes, the people who should love you most are the ones who hurt you deepest. Grateful for those who stand by me while others destroy happiness for personal gain." Her followers flooded the comments with heart emojis and "Stay strong, Queen." She hadn't named me. She didn't need to. My stomach turned. Destroy happiness? I'd paid for it. I stayed at that photo for 10 full minutes before something inside me snapped into focus. The anger burned clean, not wild, not loud, but sharp and surgical. I opened my notes app and started typing. Every date, every payment, every text, every lie disguised as family teamwork. By morning, I had a 20-page document titled Timeline of Financial Contributions, Emily's Wedding. It wasn't just proof. It was the story I'd been living, in black and white. At 9 a.m., I walked into my office, the one they'd always dismissed as just a hobby space, and opened my blinds. Sunlight flooded the room, reflecting off the gold plaque on my desk. Claire Lawson, founder and CEO, Lawson Atelier Group. I'd spent a decade building luxury event spaces up and down the West Coast, negotiating with million-dollar vendors, managing staff, and creating experiences people paid six figures to attend. Yet my own family had used my expertise and erased my name from the credits. They'd forgotten one thing. I didn't build my company out of privilege. I built it out of every door they'd closed in my face. As I looked at the growing folder on my computer, a strange calm settled over me. I wasn't powerless. I wasn't excluded. I was the foundation they were standing on. And now, I was done holding them up. I picked up my phone and texted my assistant, Amber. Cancel all afternoon meetings. We're restructuring some contracts. Then I added one more message, the kind of promise that doesn't need punctuation to carry its weight. They took $60,000 from me. I'm taking back something far more valuable. As the message sent, I closed my laptop and looked out the window. The sky had cleared, still gray at the edges, but lighter. A new kind of storm was coming. And this time, I'd be the one writing the forecast. The next morning, I woke up before dawn, the kind of half-sleep where your brain feels wired but your heart is heavy. My apartment was quiet except for the hum of the city outside, distant traffic, a siren somewhere, the faint clink of the radiator heating up. I poured myself a cup of coffee I didn't really want and opened my laptop again. The wedding documentation folder stayed back at me like a mirror. Inside were receipts, payment confirmations, contracts, all with my name at the top. I scrolled through line after line of transaction IDs, dates, and amounts. $12,000 to the venue, $8,500 for catering, $15,000 for decor, and more. Every number felt like a reminder of how easily love can turn into a ledger. It wasn't even about the money anymore. It was about the story behind every transfer. The late-night calls from my sister asking for advice. The promises from my mom that I'd get it all back soon. The trust I'd built over decades of being the responsible one, the fixer, the reliable daughter. I had always believed that doing everything right would protect me. Turns out, it only made me easier to use. At 7:30 a.m., my phone buzzed. It was a text from Amber, my assistant. Morning, Claire. Got your note. Do you want me to reach out to the vendors first? I typed back, yes. Ask for updated contracts. I want every invoice transferred under the rightful client name. I knew it wouldn't be simple, but it wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming what was mine. For years, my family had treated me like the background support to their main event. This time, the spotlight would turn. While Amber worked, I called my accountant, Derek, a no-nonsense guy who'd handled my company finances since day one. When I explained what happened, he let out a low whistle. Claire, that's theft, plain and simple. You can't just take someone's money and exclude them. Try telling that to my family, I said dryly. He sighed. You want me to start the paper trail? Yes. Let's make it clean, official, and bulletproof. By noon, my inbox was filling with responses from the vendors. The florist confirmed I was still listed as the client. The venue manager expressed shock and confusion about the guest list change. Even the photographer wrote a polite but pointed message. We were told you wouldn't be attending, but we're happy to make any necessary adjustments. Adjustments. That word stuck in my mind like a thorn. Everyone was adjusting, except me. I was the only one expected to stay still while my world rearranged itself around Betrayal. That's when I made the decision that shifted everything. If my family wanted to pretend I didn't exist, fine. But I wasn't going to disappear quietly. I booked a meeting with Lena Morales, a friend and luxury destination planner I'd worked with before. She specialized in European weddings, the kind you see on magazine covers. When she picked up my call, she sounded delighted. "Claire, it's been ages. What's up?" "I need to plan something," I said. "Private, but grand. And I need it fast." She laughed. "Define fast." "Within a month." There was a pause. "That's insane." "I know," I said, smiling faintly. "That's why you're perfect for it." Lena's curiosity flared. "Okay, what's the occasion?" I took a breath. "Let's just say, I'm creating my own version of a fairy tale." For the first time in days, I felt something close to excitement stir inside me. Not spite, not anger, but power. I wasn't going to beg for inclusion in someone else's story. I was going to write my own. As I hung up, my phone pinged again. It was an email from my sister, Emily. Subject: "Please don't make this worse. Mom told me Nadine called you. I didn't want it to happen this way, but it's for the best. You always make everything about you, and I just need one day that's about me. I know you'll understand. Love you." I read it twice. The sheer audacity of those words left me breathless. Love you. After excluding me, after spending my money, after rewriting me as the villain. For a long time, I just stayed at the screen. Then, slowly, I started typing. "Emily, you're right. You deserve a day that's about you. I just never thought it would cost me everything I gave freely. Don't worry, I won't make it worse. I'll make it unforgettable." I didn't send it. Not yet. Instead, I saved it as a draft. Because this wasn't about confrontation. Not yet. It was about preparation. Over the next few days, I built something that felt like therapy and war strategy all at once. My new event plan, a celebration of independence, as I called it on paper, took shape across spreadsheets and mood boards. Lena was already scouting venues in Italy, sending me photos of Lake Como villas and Tuscan gardens. "Do you want elegance or impact?" she asked during one of our calls. "Both," I said. I wanted to feel like closure wrapped in beauty. Each image she sent felt like a piece of myself returning, places filled with light, calm, and the kind of grace I'd been denied. The idea of turning pain into art was intoxicating. By the end of the week, I had an entire proposal drafted: the Lawson celebration, Villa Lario, Italy, a guest list of 20 close friends, a candlelit dinner by the lake, a string quartet. It wasn't a wedding. It was a reclamation. Amber was the first to notice the change in my tone. "You're smiling again," she said one afternoon. "I'm remembering who I am," I replied. That night, I went through my old family photos, Emily's graduation, Dad's retirement, Mom's birthday dinners. I used to think those pictures told the story of love. Now I saw something different, a pattern of conditional affection. I had been their safety net, not their equal. And just like that, the guilt began to fade. When I finally closed my laptop, I whispered the same words that had carried me through my company's hardest years. Build something beautiful from what they tried to break. The irony wasn't lost on me. My family had taken my money to fund a fairy tale. I was going to take their betrayal and turn it into one of my own, except this time, I'd be the heroine. As I crawled into bed, I checked my phone one last time. Another post from Emily glowed at the top of my feed, a pre-wedding photo of her and her fiancé holding hands beneath string lights. Caption: "Surround yourself with love, not envy." I smiled. "Fine, Emily. You can have your wedding. But the world's about to see what real love, self-love, looks like when it's reborn in Italy." The first time I saw the villa, it felt like a dream that had been waiting for me all along. Villa Lario sat high above Lake Como, the sunlight dancing across its marble terraces like liquid gold. The air smelled of wisteria and salt, the kind of scent that makes you want to breathe slower, live slower. When Lena's car pulled up the gravel driveway, I could barely speak. "This place," I whispered. She smiled knowingly. "You wanted elegance and impact, right? This is both." The villa had 12 suites, a grand ballroom, and a lakeside dock that shimmered like glass. I walked through the open doors, running my fingers across the white columns and soft draped curtains. It didn't feel like a venue. It felt like redemption. "This is where it happens," I said quietly. Lena tilted her head. "Where what happens?" I smiled. "Where I stop apologizing for wanting beauty in my life." That night, I stayed up with my laptop on the terrace, the lake reflecting the stars like spilled ink. My event planner brain came alive. Schedules, color palettes, lighting arrangements. I wanted the night to feel like peace reborn. Every table would be lined with white roses and gold accents, every guest surrounded by warmth and ease. I wasn't creating a party. I was creating closure. As I worked, messages poured in from people who had heard whispers of what happened. One from an old college friend, one from a past client, one even from a journalist I barely knew. "Saw your sister's post. Are you okay? You deserve better. Whatever you're planning, make it yours." Each message reminded me of something I had forgotten. I wasn't alone. For years, I'd been the quiet backbone of every celebration, the invisible architect behind someone else's joy. This time, I would step into the frame, not as the planner, not as the provider, as the story. By the second day, Lena's team was in full motion. Italian designers arrived with mood boards and samples. Musicians tested acoustics by the lake. The air buzzed with creation. I found myself smiling without effort, the kind of smile that comes from remembering your own power. One afternoon, while finalizing the seating chart, Lena looked up from her clipboard. "You know," she said, "most people would have gone home and cried after what you've been through." I did, I admitted, for a while. Then I realized crying doesn't change anything. Action does. She nodded. "I like you, Claire Lawson. You turn pain into art." That evening, I took a walk through the olive groves behind the villa. The world was quiet except for the sound of cicadas and the distant water brushing against the shore. I thought about my sister, the girl who used to braid my hair before school, who once whispered secrets under blanket forts. When had she become a stranger? When had love turned into competition? The truth hurt, but it also set me free. I didn't need their approval anymore. I didn't need to prove I was worthy of belonging. Because belonging that requires betrayal isn't love. It's control. On the third morning, Amber arrived from Los Angeles, jet-lagged but beaming. "You weren't kidding," she said, stepping onto the terrace. "This place looks like a dream." I laughed. Dreams take deposits and determination. Amber grinned. "So what's the official plan?" I handed her a folder labeled Operation Fairytale. Inside were the final details, the guest list of 20 friends, the schedule, the photographer's name, and the hashtag we'd use to share the night online. Amber raised an eyebrow. "You're planning to post this?" "Not as revenge," I said softly. "As release. I want people to see that pain doesn't have to define you. You can build something breathtaking from it." For the next week, we worked tirelessly. Guests began arriving, friends from college, clients who had become confidants, even a few colleagues who had watched me weather the storm silently. Each one brought something: laughter, support, energy. Not one of them asked about my family. They just celebrated me. The night before the event, I stood at the edge of the lake wearing a simple white gown, not bridal, but timeless. The silk moved with the breeze like water itself. The reflection of the villa lights danced across the lake, and for a moment, I saw not the woman who'd been excluded, but the woman who had rebuilt. Amber joined me, holding 2 glasses of champagne. "To new beginnings," she said. "To endings that made them possible," I replied. We clinked glasses, and I took a long sip, the bubble stinging just enough to remind me I was alive. The next evening, As the sun dipped behind the mountains, violins began to play. Guests took their seats around long candlelit tables, laughter echoing under the open Italian sky. Everything was golden, the light, the mood, the energy. When it was time to speak, I stood up, feeling my heartbeat in my throat. I was supposed to be somewhere else tonight, I began. At someone else's celebration. But sometimes, life reroutes us, not as punishment, but protection. The crowd grew quiet. I gave a lot to people who couldn't see my worth. But the truth is, worth isn't something anyone gives you. You build it yourself, moment by moment. And when people take advantage of your love, you don't shrink, you expand. I looked out over the water, my voice steady now. So this isn't a revenge story. It's a love story. For the version of myself who kept showing up, even when no one said thank you. For the dreamer who refused to stay small. Applause filled the night, but it was the quiet after that stayed with me, the sound of stillness, the peace of release. As the music swelled again, fireworks burst above the lake, illuminating everything in shades of gold and silver. Someone shouted, "Claire, this is incredible." I smiled, tears catching in the corner of my eyes. It's the first time I've built something for myself. By midnight, the hashtags had taken over Instagram. Photos of the event flooded feeds. Candlelight, laughter, the glow of a woman finally free. People called it a fairy tale reborn, the celebration of independence, the most powerful soft revenge ever seen. And somewhere, I knew my family was seeing it too. But for once, that didn't matter. Because the story wasn't about them anymore. It was about me, standing under an Italian sky, surrounded by light, proving that when they write you out of the story, you write a better one. The first sign that something extraordinary has happened comes on a quiet Tuesday morning. My phone, usually filled with work alerts and vendor updates, begins vibrating nonstop. Dozens of notifications flash across the screen. Instagram tags, mentions, reposts. I glance at one, then another. It's my own face, my own event. The Italian fairy tale that wasn't meant to be seen by anyone outside my small circle. Except now, it's everywhere. Someone, probably a guest, maybe one of the photographers, posted a short video montage of my event. The sunset over Lake Como, the crystal chandeliers reflecting in the water, the caption reading, "She wasn't invited to her sister's wedding, so she made her own." Within hours, the clip explodes across social media. Comments pour in from strangers around the world. Queen behavior. This is how you handle betrayal. Family who? At first, I laugh, half in disbelief, half in nerves. But then the numbers start to climb. 500k views, 2M, 10M. By evening, the video is trending on TikTok, reshared by influencers, and dissected in long Reddit threads analyzing the sister who built her own fairy tale. My email floods with new inquiries, collaboration offers, sponsorships, even feature requests from lifestyle magazines. The same industry that once dismissed me as a hobbyist now hails me as the visionary woman who turned heartbreak into an empire. The irony isn't lost on me. That evening, I sit in my villa's courtyard, phone in hand, watching as my name climbs the search rankings. The sky above Italy turns a deep shade of rose, and for the first time in months, I feel something resembling peace. Not because they have finally seen my worth, but because I no longer need them to. The peace lasts until my phone rings. Mom. I almost let it go to voicemail, but curiosity wins. Eleanor, she starts, voice tentative, strained in a way I've never heard before. Your video, well, everyone's talking about it. The neighbors, your father's associates, even Celeste's in-laws. They are asking questions. What kind of questions? I ask, though I already know. About the money, she admits quietly, and about the invitation. They think we wronged you. I let the silence stretch. For once, she fills it. We didn't mean to exclude you, darling. It just became complicated. Complicated. That word again. Their favorite way of shrinking betrayal into inconvenience. Mom, I say softly, you didn't just exclude me. You erased me, and then used my name to pay the bill. On the other end, she exhales shakily. Your father wants to make it right. I close my eyes. The phrase sounds rehearsed. By sending a check, or by finally acknowledging what I've built. How pauses answer enough. Later that night, Celeste calls. Her voice is small, tentative, like someone trying to walk barefoot over broken glass. Ellie, I didn't know they'd used your money. I swear. But now everyone's saying I planned it. The comments, people are calling me a thief. I inhale slowly. Maybe now you understand what it feels like to be misrepresented. Silence. Then, softly, can we meet? Please. The next day, we meet at the villa, the same one that became the internet's obsession. Celeste arrives dressed simply. No makeup, no cameras, just remorse written in every line of her face. This place, she whispers, looking around the terrace draped in white roses. It's breathtaking. I can't believe you built this. I shrug lightly. It wasn't built for revenge. It was built for closure. She nods, tears brimming. You got both. I study her, the sister who once laughed when our parents dismissed my career, who called me intense for caring too much about work. And yet, she's just human now, frightened, regretful, stripped of the arrogance that used to define her. I'm sorry, she says finally. Not for the invite. For every time I let them treat you like less. You deserved better, from all of us. For the first time in a long while, I believe her. The tabloids call the story the Wade wedding war. But they get one thing wrong. This was never a war. It was an awakening. A week later, I receive a call from a producer at a major media outlet. They want to feature me in a documentary series about women entrepreneurs redefining legacy. You're a symbol of reclamation, the producer says, turning betrayal into beauty. The feature airs 2 months later. The response is overwhelming, messages from women around the world sharing their own stories of being dismissed, undervalued, underestimated. I reply to everyone I can, because I know what it means to finally be seen. My parents, meanwhile, stay quiet, too quiet, until an invitation arrives at my headquarters, an embossed envelope addressed to Miss Eleanor Wade. Inside, an invitation to Celeste's rescheduled ceremony. Same date, new location. The Laurel House, one of my properties. At the bottom, in Celeste's handwriting, are 5 words that make my throat tighten. This time, you're my maid of honor. I show up not as a sister seeking validation, but as a woman who built her own empire and finally understands her worth. Cameras flash, guests whisper, and somewhere between the vows and the sunset, I realize something simple but profound. Success isn't revenge. It's freedom. As the music swells and laughter fills the air, I catch Celeste's eye across the dance floor. She smiles, genuine this time, and I return it. Not because we've forgotten, but because we've finally understood. And when the night ends, and the world still buzzes with headlines and hashtags, I log off, pour myself a glass of wine, and look out at the city skyline reflected in the water. This time, I don't need anyone to tell me I've won. I already know. It's been 6 months since my fairy tale in Italy went viral, and my life hasn't stopped shifting since. Some days, I wake to a calendar packed with investor meetings, expansion calls, and podcast requests. Other days, I wake in silence, the kind that follows a storm that's finally passed. But even calm carries echoes. When my assistant, Amber, walks into my office one morning holding a sleek, ivory envelope, I already know who it's from. The return address says everything: Wade Family Home. Inside, a handwritten note. Eleanor, we're hosting a small family dinner. No photographers, no announcements. We'd like you to come. Love, Mom. I stare at the words for a long time, the cursive trembling slightly, as if written by someone uncertain how it would be received. I place it beside my laptop and sit back, watching the sunlight pour through the window, pooling over the glass desk that once represented my entire worth. Amber glances at the letter. You going? I don't know yet. She nods, her tone gentle. You don't owe them forgiveness, you know. But maybe you owe yourself closure. She's right. Closure isn't about rewriting the past. It's about stopping it from writing you. That night, I drive up the familiar winding road to my parents' estate, a home filled with the ghosts of expectations I never met. The house looks smaller now. Or maybe I've grown. My mother opens the door before I can knock. She's aged in ways I hadn't noticed before, her hair more silver than blonde, her eyes softer, searching. Eleanor, she says quietly, almost as though saying my name aloud might break something delicate. Hi, Mom. For a long moment, we simply look at each other, no pretense, no rehearsed apologies. Then she steps aside and gestures me in. The air smells like rosemary and lemon zest, the same scent she used to fill the kitchen with when I was little. Dad is at the dining table, his posture straighter than I remember, but his gaze humbled. You look well, he says. So do you, I reply, and it's almost true. The table is set for 4. Celeste sits across from my place setting, her expression a mix of nervousness and relief. When I sit, she exhales as if releasing months of tension. Dinner begins awkwardly, quiet clinking of silverware, stilted attempts at small talk. But eventually, Celeste breaks the silence. I wanted to tell you something, she says, her voice trembling slightly. After the wedding, James and I decided to open a new design branch in partnership with the Wade Collective. We'd like to feature your venues exclusively. I look at her, surprised. You mean, a business partnership? She nods. Equal partners. Public acknowledgement. No secrets this time. For a second, I don't speak. The offer isn't about money. It's about respect. And for the first time, I see sincerity in her eyes, not guilt. Mom sets down her fork. We watched your documentary, she admits softly. The one about your company. It was eye-opening. We didn't realize how much you carried, or how long you've been carrying it. Dad clears his throat. I was wrong. The 3 words hit harder than I expect. I thought success was about control, he continues. But you built something greater, without anyone's permission. I'm proud of you, Eleanor. There's silence after that, not the tense kind, but the kind that allows truth to breathe. I nod once, unable to trust my voice. Maybe forgiveness isn't about forgetting. Maybe it's about allowing yourself to be seen without needing to be right. After dinner, Celeste and I walk out into the garden, the same one where we used to play as kids. The night air is cool, carrying the faint hum of crickets. Do you ever think about how all of this started? She asks. All the time, I admit. If they hadn't uninvited me, I might still be trying to earn their approval. She smiles sadly. Funny how losing something can show you what you were meant to build. We stop by the old oak tree where we carved our initials years ago. They are still faintly visible, faded but unbroken. We were kids, she whispers, but we meant it then, to always stand by each other. I trace the letters with my fingers. Maybe it's not too late to mean it again. She takes my hand. Then let's start there. When I return to my car, the night feels lighter. Not because everything's fixed, but because I finally understand what doesn't need fixing anymore. Over the following months, the Wade Collective grows faster than ever. Bookings triple, new partnerships flourish, and for the first time, my success feels shared, not as validation, but as legacy. Celeste becomes one of my most reliable collaborators, her creativity finally thriving without our parents' interference. And when we launch our new project, the Reclaimed Collection, a series of luxury venues inspired by resilience, it feels symbolic. The tagline reads, "Built from heartbreak, designed for hope." It goes viral within hours. But this time, the attention doesn't shake me. It grounds me. On the day of the grand opening, my parents attend, standing quietly at the back, watching as I cut the ribbon. When the crowd disperses, my father approaches, eyes bright. "You know," he says, "I used to think you were the most stubborn person in the family. And now?" I ask, smiling. "Now I think you were just the bravest." For once, I don't deflect the compliment. I accept it. That evening, as the guests leave and the lights of the city glitter in the distance, I stand on the balcony of my flagship property, the place where this all began. The wind carries laughter, music, the faint echo of my own younger self who once wanted nothing more than to be included. I whisper to her softly, "You made it." The reflection in the glass shows a woman no longer defined by rejection, but by creation. I raise a glass to the horizon, the same words echoing in my mind that began this entire journey. Sometimes, the people who should love you the most are the ones who hurt you deepest. But if you're lucky and brave enough, you turn that pain into power. The past doesn't vanish. It transforms. And in that transformation, I finally find what I'd been chasing all along. Not revenge, not validation, but peace.